In the top stories, Prime Minister drew to address United Nations General Assembly this afternoon. Puerto Rico struggles to reach areas cut off by Hurricane Fiona, and the UN warns of serious threat from Syria cholera outbreak. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, the 23rd of September 2022. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew will be making his first address at the United Nations General Assembly this afternoon. The 77th session is scheduled to begin at 3 o'clock with a presentation by the Honorable Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. He will be followed by other world leaders, and then Prime Minister Drew is scheduled at position number 8. The address can be viewed live on ZIZ Radio, TV, and social media platforms, as well as SKNIS and the UN's YouTube channel. The UN General Assembly 77 is staged in New York annually in September. The Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs has weighed in on an incident of domestic violence that resulted in the death of an alleged abuser on Saturday, September 17, calling for improvements of social protections for persons experiencing domestic violence and abuse. In a statement issued on Thursday, the ministry said, quote, "As condolences are extended to the family of the deceased, the ministry and government of St. Kitts and Nevis asserts its condemnation of all acts of domestic violence, sexual harassment, and abuse. It remains a priority for the ministry to support victims, survivors, and their families who experience abuse of any kind. In the provision of human services, social protection, and support for the survivors and victims of domestic violence in St. Kitts and Nevis, the ministry recognizes the importance of strong legislation to address the reality of abuses experienced by women, children, and older persons in our communities." End quote. The statement continued, quote, "As we respect the jurisdiction of the police and court to investigate and adjudicate the recent incident with fairness and compassion, the ministry acknowledges and advocates for legislative, institutional, and systematic reviews required to improve the delivery and effectiveness of social protections provided to individuals experiencing violence and abuse." End quote. The ministry said it firmly believes that all citizens are entitled to live without fear and in safe environments. The ministry encourages anyone in need of information or support regarding situations of domestic violence to contact appropriate services, including the Department of Gender Affairs at 765-5492, the Special Victims Unit at 665-3091, the Legal Aid Clinic at 467-1572, and the National Counseling Center at 465-5000. Now for a bit of sport, the SKNFA Super 6 playoffs is reaching a climax with two big matches tonight at Warner Park Cricket Stadium. Andre Huey, the media consultant to the SKNFA, has the details in this preview.
The Super 6 playoff is wide open as all 6 teams in the tournament have registered points and can put themselves in a position to qualify for the finals. Let's take a look at today's matches and what fans can expect from the teams. The first matchup tonight is at 6 p.m., which will see Ransville Superstars duking it out with St. Peter's FC. St. Peter's need these 3 points as they are one of 2 teams in the tournament yet to register a win. They drew their first match with Garden Hotspurs 1-1 and suffered a 2-1 loss to Connery on Tuesday. Coach Anthony Nets Isaac said after that match, they started off on the wrong foot.
We went wrong in the first 5-10 minutes. Give up an easy goal there, and then onwards a second one. Make it a little much more harder for us to come back. But you see, we came back in the second half and we started to put on the pressure a little more because we changed up a few things going forward.
Village have been buoyed by their latest win, defeating the defending champions SL Horses St. Paul's United 1-0. The first time in a very long time the West Bastia outfit got the better of the champs. With that win now in their sail, Village would want to make it 2 wins on the trot, as heard from their coach who praised his players after Tuesday's win for their belief and fight.
This game was about just heart and rebounding, how you respond to difficult moments. That's what this game was about. So I'm proud of the guys. They work real hard. They deserve the win.
At 8:15 p.m. tonight, Hobson Enterprises Garden Hotspurs will try to build on their victory against Village when they face Saul Island Auto Supply's Connery FC. Spurs coach Austin Deco Huggins, after that last encounter, said his team didn't start the match well, but found the energy throughout the remainder of the match.
We were a bit out of sorts. We managed to get a penalty. Penalty gave us a little more energy, a little more organization within our play. Started to gain our composure.
Connery is on a high. Their win against St. Peter's shot them up the table after a slow start to the competition. Their coach, Al Richards, was full of praises when the team defeated St. Peter's this week.
Congratulations to my team and the first win in the Super 6. It was in a good position now to compete for the finals. We just got to go out there now Friday and win against Spurs and set ourselves for the finals.
These are two very good matches, and football fans are in for a treat at the Warner Park tonight, starting at 6 p.m.
We now move to news on the regional scene. More than 1 million people still don't have electricity in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Fiona. The storm hit Puerto Rico on Sunday, causing a blackout across the island. More than 3 million people are affected. Manuel Rapallo reports from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
On the outskirts of Puerto Rico's capital, San Juan, Victor Serrano, an electrician, is helping his neighbor repair power generator cables in the wake of Hurricane Fiona.
I'd help any one of my neighbors. We're all here to help each other.
With the generator cables repaired, Luis Alvarez hopes to power a few appliances in his home. After 5 days without electricity, success. The lights are back on, at least until the petrol powering Luis's generator runs out.
I look at my situation and I think about people who don't have the economic means. How do they get by without electricity and running water?
Those on the island fortunate enough to have generators are managing through the persisting blackout. But for low-income residents like Fernando and Isabel, no electricity has meant spoiled food and sleepless nights.
Right now, what's coming is a heat wave, temperatures of 40 degrees, and we're already feeling it.
Many here say power outages have been a problem for years, blaming an antiquated power grid and poor management by Luma, the island's power management company. Jorge Bracero, an energy sector whistleblower, says Fiona dealt a death blow to an already crumbling electricity infrastructure.
I think we need a massive overhaul. We need massive upgrades in infrastructure in the streets, but we also need a massive overhaul in our power generation.
The U.S. government has promised to increase aid and assistance to Puerto Rico in the wake of Fiona. Though many seem skeptical, the help will be enough. In the island's commercial centers, it's clear that lack of electricity is having a damaging impact on the local economy.
As night falls over San Juan, the sounds of power generators echo through the streets. And the question on everyone's mind is how much longer will it be before power is fully restored on the island? Manuel Rapallo, Al Jazeera, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
As Guyana's health sector continues to tackle the issue of mental health head-on, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony has revealed that roughly 490 persons are receiving treatment every month at the Georgetown Public Hospital's psychiatric clinic. Joel Vutt has the details.
In recent years, the local availability of services, professionals and facilities to address mental illnesses have improved, with efforts being made to decriminalize suicide. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony on Thursday announced that the psychiatric clinic at the Georgetown Public Hospital currently sees an average of 490 persons per month.
In that 490 persons, we probably get 40 new patients on average. And these are persons who either walk into the clinics or they are referred to the clinic.
Providing a further breakdown of the services offered at the facility, the minister said that approximately 200 persons access regular counseling, while about 250 are on medication. Additionally, Dr. Anthony noted that the Ministry of Health currently has an ongoing mental health outreach program for psychiatrists at the facility.
We also have an outreach program where doctors from the hospital would go to various regions, so we have statutory dates when they're in various regions.
Importantly, the National Psychiatric Hospital in New Amsterdam is the only inpatient mental health institution in Ghana that provides inpatient and outpatient services at the national level. The subject minister highlighted that currently there are some 3,000 patients receiving services from the outpatient clinic. He also emphasized the need for mental health care training locally.
Mental health has definitely shown to be one of those areas where we'll have to train more staff, get more doctors, more psychiatrists to be working in this area. And it's something that we'll have to offer more scholarships for people to specialize in mental health.
Furthermore, Minister Anthony underscored that his ministry currently offers a postgraduate program in psychiatry at the GPHC and is working collaboratively with the Columbia University on a 5-year program to execute studies in suicide prevention for a psychiatrist. Reporting for the AGP 90 News, Joel Vo.
Internationally, the UN says it is concerned about a cholera outbreak in Syria, possibly linked to the Euphrates River. The World Health Organization has reported 39 deaths in the past 3 weeks. Millions of people rely on the river for drinking water and to irrigate crops. But as water levels drop in drought-like conditions, it's leading to a buildup of sewage and pollution. Al Jazeera's Laura Burden-Manley reports.
Care facilities aren't functioning. Infections have been recorded in 6 of Syria's 14 governorates, mostly in Aleppo. A source from this hospital says more than 4,000 people have been treated here in the past 3 weeks. The UN says the war has caused extensive damage to water pipes and more than half the healthcare facilities aren't functioning.
In the past, we used to have at least the basic infrastructure there. Like, for example, getting, clean sources of water, and the sewage system is there almost, to deal with these sort of challenges. But now this, 12 years of war led into destruction of the infrastructure.
The WHO sent 2 plane loads of aid to the region and is training aid groups. But it's concerned about those already vulnerable to disease and hunger. For the hundreds of thousands of displaced Syrians living in camps, a fresh outbreak of cholera threatens further misery in the months ahead. Laura Burden-Manley, Al Jazeera.
Vladimir Putin's plans to order a partial mobilization of reserved army forces to bolster the war in Ukraine and organize sham referenda in the country's occupied territories are grounds for a new round of EU sanctions, Ursula von der Leyen has said. The European Commission president said the penalties will focus on civilian technology as Russia moves to a full war economy. More in this Euronews report.
Are now biting.
If you look at the financial...
The EU is working on a 7th sanctions package against Russia following Putin's announcement he'll support 4 illegal referendums in Ukraine with a view to annexing the regions. The package is likely to target specific sectors such as aviation and prohibiting exports of technologies important for Russian industry. Several Russian citizens will also be included. Speaking in Princeton University, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said sanctions against Russia are now biting.
If you look at the financial sector in Russia, it's on life support now. Russia's industry is in tatters. It's very interesting to see the military complex, because the military complex now has a very hard time to replenish what is necessary for the armed forces, because the updated technologies are missing. These are coming from our side and no more delivered. There's a ban on the exports. The spare parts are missing. So you observe now that the Russians are cannibalizing their refrigerators and their dishwashers to get semiconductors they can use for the military complex. Basically, the Kremlin has put Russia's economy on the path of oblivion.
Meanwhile, EU Commissioner for Energy Kadri Simpson has told Euronews that the new sanctions package is unlikely to include energy. However, a price cap on Russian gas is still on the table, although it's unclear as to whether this will pass unanimously amongst member states.
Energy has been covered already by several sanctions. I personally also believe that this is necessary to introduce price cap for Russian gas, because we don't have sanctions on gas yet, but this is unfair that Russia, who is manipulating with their supplies, will partially cover the cut volumes with higher prices, and this is only the result of their own action.
At the UN General Assembly in New York, EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell blamed Russia for dragging the world into a global recession and global food crisis. Alongside sanctions, he said the EU will support the International Criminal Court to ensure justice and accountability against the Russian regime. Shona Murray, Euronews, Brussels.
Will be never recognized.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy skies, and the temperature for today is 31 degrees Celsius or 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a light breeze of 7 miles per hour from the east. Seas are moderate with waves of 3 to 5 feet. The weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis for today will be cloudy with a 60% or moderate chance of lingering showers. Tonight will be mostly fair with a 20% or slight chance of a light shower. Sunset today will be at 6:06 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:01 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.